Okay, so let's start off by talking about this reenlistment ceremony. Um, what you see here is a reenlistment ceremony, which is something that the military does every time that a 4-year contract runs up. For enlisted folks, and this is different from officers like your lieutenants, your majors, your captains, and colonels and generals. But for the enlisted folks, sergeants, privates, corporals, what have you, they have to sign a contract every 4 years or so, that says, I will continue to do the thing that I've been doing for the last 4 years, and then anything else that you sort of tell me to do. All right, so that's a re-enlistment. In it, you have to take the oath of enlistment, which basically says, I do promise to do all the things that are important. Now, it's supposed to be a very dignified affair. It's one of the few times where we actually celebrate the individuality of the troop that's serving. So it's sort of a big deal. However, because it's something that we celebrate in that manner, it's become a military tradition that whatever the actual service member wants to do for the reenlistment ceremony, the commander will go as far out of their way as is reasonable to accommodate their wishes. Now, I'll talk about here in a little bit like what that can mean, but what happened here was that an Air National Guardsman, a master sergeant, did her reenlistment ceremony using a puppet of a dinosaur, and as she said the words, the puppet said them for her, which, well, the long story short is that it got shared to Facebook. The video of it got shared to Facebook, and then outrage throughout the community. After it was shared some 2.5 million times by within the 4th day, the veteran community was outraged. Now, what ended up happening following that was that the general involved, the general over this Air National Guard unit, called down one of his generals below him and said, "You better fix this. You better fix this." So some lieutenant general got upset about everything that the veteran community was saying. He called his major general, I believe, and said, "Fix this." So what that guy did was that he really laid it down. The master sergeant, her career is now over. The colonel who did the swearing in, or excuse me, who conducted the ceremony, who sort of gave the go ahead to it, he was demoted and fired. And even the first sergeant who filmed it is now in hot water. And there's a lot to talk about with this. First off, to all my civilian viewers who are like, why is this such a big deal? Why is this important? I don't understand. Why do people make such a big deal about this? Oh, okay, well, this I'm going to go ahead and give you, because this is one of those weird things that the military does, and nobody understands why they take such a big deal about things that don't really matter. So to talk about that, I'm going to go ahead and show you some other reenlistment ceremonies and show you like how weird it gets, but also a common theme that they all have. Okay, so let's take a look at some of those. Okay, here this is probably one of the coolest ones that I saw. No pun intended. These two did their reenlistment ceremony at the South Pole. Now, I don't know what their jobs were. I don't know what business they had at the South Pole. There's a few military units that are stationed there for various reasons, but these two had to trek to the South Pole to get it. Now I don't know what they had to do to pull that off, but that's phenomenal. This is just one of the most epic things that most people would ever have in their life. And then to have a reenlistment ceremony there, that's awesome. Okay. All right, this one apparently, I'm guessing an astronaut. I'm guessing an astronaut doing her reenlistment ceremony in the trainer for astronaut training. So, what can I say? Epic. Wow. So I actually saw the backstory on this one. This was an engineering unit, and they piled up a bunch of things that blow up, threw some gasoline on it, and then lit the thing on fire because engineers. As you can see, during the reenlistment ceremony, there is possibly the coolest fireball ever caught on camera. This was done in country. It's like you can't get more wow than that. All right, here what you see. I'm just gonna call it what I think it is. Here I think you see a jerk. Okay, I think this guy's a jerk. It looks like he wanted to have his reenlistment ceremony in the middle of some terrible training that probably unnecessary, ruined everybody's day, and he had a bunch of laughs by doing that. So sincerely, sir, you are a jerk. Okay, you know, scuba divers, there's a lot of different MOSs that involve being underwater. I don't know what this one was, but you know, having your actual reenlistment ceremony underwater probably has something to do with his job, and it's probably something really cool for everybody in his unit. Probably something like, this is probably one of those that everybody at the unit's like cheering. That's just awesome. Okay. Okay, the gas chamber. Like a lot of people actually want to have their ceremony in the gas chamber. Now, if you look at this picture, you see all those beautiful beams of light. You see those beautiful shining beams of light. Well, that's actually not like dust or anything. That's light reflecting off the CS gas. Now it's probably CS gas, but that's light reflecting off the gas. All right. So as soon as they take their masks off, everything's about to get terrible because CS gas is it's very much like the tear gas that you would use for riot control. Okay, it's not going to kill you, but it will ruin your day. It will absolutely ruin your day. It's like one of the worst days that we all have to get every year for our annual training is learning how to deal with the gas chamber. So the type of people who would do this, either like hard chargers or people who actually work with the gas. There's whole training units within larger units that their job is to handle nuclear, biological, chemical instances where, you know, if something goes terribly bad, you need somebody who's an expert on that. But normally they also do the training for everybody else. These guys are probably those biochemical warfare specialists who just wanted to have a reenlistment ceremony in the gas chamber, which is pretty awesome. But also, you're probably a jerk because now everybody's gonna have to clean their stuff and they're gonna be itchy and oozy for the rest of the day. But first off, though, this is how you do it. You see how all their masks are on? Yeah, that's how you do it. This guy, however, decided not to do it. He went in without the gas mask. Okay, like people try this. They try to do it without the gas mask. Now, I'm just gonna say the oath of enlistment. It takes a minute. It takes a minute. You don't just like. The reason that we take our gas mask off, the reason we get our training in there is one, to learn how to trust the gas mask, trust it to see, oh wow, this actually works. And part of that is that you have to take it off and then endure like breathing in tear gas. But you have to learn how to do that. Take these short, choppy, like choppy breaths so that you can not pass out and not be overcome with the effects of tear gas. However, that's not exactly the same as saying, I do swear. It's like you're not going to make it. You're not going to die, but your day is going to be ruined. Ruined by this. So, stupid. All right, and this one, the first sergeant involved with this one actually shared this image talking about how proud he was that they had their reenlistment ceremony on the back of a transport plane, literally in flight, that they later jumped out of. And the first sergeant, it was funny because he was bragging about, of all things, it was like, look at that, positive ripcord control the whole way through, nobody flinched, it was awesome. It's like just like a first sergeant. All right, and this one's where stuff gets interesting. Here we have a Marine. Here we have a Marine, like a motivator. If you can see closely at his devices, looks like he was in recon. I can't tell from here if he was master sergeant, first sergeant. He's or sergeant, whatever. He's up there. Okay, so this guy did his reenlistment ceremony dressed as a Spartan. Now, all right, just to let you know, Marines are crazy about Spartans. It was like when 300 came out, the whole Marine Corps collectively just passed out from the awesomeness of that moment. Okay, we love the Spartans. We love the Spartan ethos, the mythology, the legend, whatever. Just you have this culture, this entire culture built for war, where like everything about them, whether it's true or not, everything that remains about them today is like fanatics about the military profession. And Marines Marines especially want to identify with that mentality. So this guy comes out dressed as a Spartan and does his ceremony that way. Now I'll talk about that in a minute, but and it relates to this last one. Now this is the one I want you to really think about. This guy looks like he's in country, and when I say in country, I mean the Iraq, Afghanistan, a place where bad things are happening, where this is why the military exists. And he took it upon himself to get a stormtrooper outfit sent, and he did his reenlistment dressed as a stormtrooper. Now I'm just gonna tell you, everything up to this point, including this one, everything has had the theme of cool factor. Okay, these were all cool. They were they were all cool, but there's a problem with this one, and maybe even the last one if you really want to get technical. The problem with this one is that this lacks a certain thing that you really need for an enlistment ceremony. In fact, the Air Force, the Air National Guard, called for specifically in their wording, Air Force regulations regarding these events assert that unit commanders will honor all reenlistees through a dignified reenlistment ceremony. Now, I think that's the important thing, is that dignity needs to be maintained. Now I'll say this with the stormtrooper. It's like, dude, that is cool. That's really cool. You know, like that's a fantasy element. That's science fiction. Who's not a fan of Star Wars? But I have to say, this is not dignified. Now, granted, like I said, this is cool, and he's in country, and if you're reenlisting in Iraq, you can get away with anything. But it's not dignified. It's not dignified, and why we care so much about dignity, and I'll pull up the case in point. Why we care so much about dignity as veterans. So because remember, the veteran community are who got outraged about this Master Sergeant's reenlistment. Why they care so much about dignity is that so much of the military is horrible. You know, like living the life is absolutely terrible, and a lot of people don't want to do it because the day-to-day suffering, the day-to-day, you know, crawling through mud is like sometimes the best thing that happened to you that day. So like what we need to still be proud of what we did is the dignity. It's seeing a Marine in dress blues. It's seeing troops marching in those perfect straight files along a parade. Like that dignity and the pride that they get from seeing things that matter, that needs to be preserved so that the veterans themselves can have pride in what they've already done. Now when they see active military people do things that do not have dignity, that make a joke out of service, then I can understand their outrage, because it sort of makes a joke out of all the suffering that you have endured. As a veteran, even those of us who didn't kick indoors, even those of us who didn't lose anybody, you know, there's a lot of stuff that just sucks, and you want to have this sense of dignity surrounding everything you did so that you can still be proud about it. If that dignity is washed away through enough stupid, careless acts, then it takes away from what you did. It really does. And a lot of people will fight for that. A lot of people will fight to say, hey, don't do that. I'm not okay with this. This upsets me, and it shouldn't become a precedent. Now, I'll say that if you want to blow up something in the back of your photo, if you're an engineer and you can somehow tie that to what you do, that's cool. A lot of people are down with that. If you want to do it in the gas chamber, hey, all the power to you. You know, that's really hardcore. That's military. I would say do it right so the pictures don't make you look like an idiot. But, you know, that's good. You know, the guy with the Spartan helmet, that one I think gets close as far as dignified, but then it does echo this mentality, this warrior ethos that a lot of military veterans are like, yeah, and it's motivating, and it makes us feel good about being warriors, you know. But we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this sock puppet, you know, bringing out a dinosaur puppet. It's like there's no dignity in this. It is making a joke of an incredibly important oath. It's making a joke out of an incredibly important moment for millions of veterans, past and present. And well, I'll say this: I don't think that her career should have been over. I definitely don't think the colonel should have been fired. Like even I don't know about demoted. I don't think the first sergeant really did anything wrong by filming it. I do think it was an epic. Like, I do think that all parties involved screwed up, and that there was a huge lack of judgment in anybody saying, "Hey, you know what? This is too far." Should careers have been ended for it? No. I think that a few months, I mean, enough to hurt, a few months of their pay being taken away and donated to some veteran service. I think that would have been a very good compromise. I don't think the career should have been over. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I do hope that this event does help the veteran community, or help the military, the active military community, say, okay, well, there's a line, there's what we can do and what we can't, and I hope it doesn't get rid of the whole tradition of doing crazy things for your reenlistment ceremony. Like I would want more people to go to the South Pole. I would want more people to do it in the gas chamber. I would want more people to be scuba diving, or even conducting it during really jerk training. But you want that. You want that because that's stuff that builds esprit de corps. That's stuff that builds unit pride. But letting people know that if you do something too stupid, you'll be fired. Your career will be over. Like 30, 40, 50 years of career has ended because of this one decision. And that's going to be really bad for recruiting. If some kid is saying to himself, like maybe I'd think about the military, and they don't really get it yet. They don't get what it's like to be a veteran, but they see that somebody did a thing that was goofy and got fired for it. Like are they really going to join the military for that? Or especially in this one, like you got that corporal who's thinking about re-enlisting for the first time, and then they see that this happens, and maybe he's going to rethink that. Maybe he's going to rethink becoming a retention statistic.